Well, I know at least 2 of you got that, so success, I suppose? Hey, welcome to my Warframes Where They Are Now series, a little series I've had brewing in the back of my mind since the early days of Warframe, quote-unquote. I'm going to put this little intro at the beginning of every video in this series. If you've heard this once or more, feel free to skip it. This is just my opinion and is not guaranteed to be fact. Remember, with Warframe, everyone plays at least a little different from each other. That's why there's 52 frames as of making this intro. Of course. That being said, I do plan on being as objective as I can with this series, but bias will always be a potential problem and will definitely shine through in certain episodes, if not all. Now, that being said, I hope you enjoy the series. May 3rd, 2023, noting the date as usual. Rhino, the original tank. The frame that can throw a temper tantrum so hard that it actually fucks up time. Refer to as 4th ability. Base stats on a Rhino Prime at level 30 are 275 armor, 150 energy, 300 health, and 450 shield. Even now, Rhino is still pretty damn tanky. His passive emits a shockwave on a hard landing. DE really said this boy is heavy. As you might have guessed, it's pretty damn useless, but it's better than some passives. His first ability, Rhino Charge, makes him dash forward, knocking enemies aside. I've helmeted this ability off, as I don't typically use it, but Ironclad Charge is an augment that is well worth running for Steel Path. It increases armor as you barrel over every crewman that has the gall to point their Detron at you. His second ability, Iron Skin, makes him really fucking hard, as the name implies. It absorbs damage after a short invincibility period until it runs out. I absolutely love this ability for obvious reasons. His third ability, Roar, increases damage for you and allies for a while. I find it hilarious that the ability description says short duration specifically on an ability with a 30-second duration by default. I don't think they thought that one through. As for his fourth, he stomps the ground, knocking enemies into the air, and disrupts time enough to keep them suspended for a few seconds. I find it to be odd, as far as like lore-wise how it works, but it is a really good ability nonetheless. It's actually a pretty solid CC. I run a mixed build, as you can see. Duration for Roar, range for Stomp, and strength for Iron Skin. I will say, for Archon Shards, I'm going to put some Boreal Shards on him for energy maximum. 425 energy maximum fucking hurts. I mean, I understand that's just part of his age, but at the same time, Volt has like 800 with Primed Flow. So, yeah. You're definitely going to be getting some energy shards. I run Rhino for a whole mess of things, or rather, I used to. And honestly, I think that's what he's kind of meant for now. A frame that you use until you get used to other frames for different things. I used to run him for Eidolons until I found my build that we'll talk about in another video. I ran him for certain Steel Path missions I'd get stuck on until I got a better build on my Chroma. I ran him for Archons until, again, my Chroma. I also used to run him for certain boss fights that I'd struggle with until I found frames that did better for it. Like, way back, I ran him for Raptors on Europa, I believe, until I got my Nova build. So how does this frame fare for Deviri? Well, I've only gotten him a couple times. I got him once for the open world and a couple times for Steel Path Circuit. As far as the open world missions, he runs great, but I can't think of a single frame that doesn't, to be fair. As for Steel Path Circuit, he is actually wonderful. The only thing that kind of hurts is his low energy, but they do give you a decent amount of energy on there, and I do have Arcane Energized, so it's not really that big of a deal. And his Roar makes it so whatever weapons I get stuck with, if they're not great, are better, and the Iron Skin keeps his ass alive, so frankly, I think he's one of the better frames in Deviri right now. Which is actually kind of funny to think about, because he's one of the original 8. But, overall, yeah, no, he's spectacular for stuff like Deviri and whatnot, because he's a bit of an all-rounder nowadays, despite originally being a tank. Rhino has aged, and in his case, I mean that in the best way possible. If nothing else, look at his kit. He has a rather effective CC and a rather effective damage buff. Not a lot of frames can say that anymore. Most of them are either pure CC, pure damage, or have a weakened version of both. He's still great for harder content. I just like a few other frames for certain roles better, such as the way as things go with 52 options. I still think he's a pretty solid frame, and I mean, hell, I know plenty of people that still use him. Actually, fun enough, one of my friends mained him up until fairly recently. I ended up showing him another frame that they seem to like more now. They may go back to Rhino at some point, I'm not sure, but yeah, that's kind of how it goes. But either way, thank you all for watching, and have a great day.